Hello, people of the internet, and welcome to my Starmade classification system. Of course, right here, the video would be displayed instead of this little note for me to input it in. Now, the nice thing about my classification system is it's not just these ships. It also includes a class for guns, turrets, materials, and space stations, along with the ships. Now, feel free to go ahead and download these to your computer, open them up in a Google Excel document. I have them all listed at the bottom of each individual page. I'll show you where to find them. And go ahead and go down to my YouTube channel. I left a hyperlink to it. I'm trying to get into doing some Starmade episodes and putting out some series here and there for Starmade. I'd like to start doing that pretty soon. And we'll jump right in. So, I first start out with making some gun classes. So to understand this right here is the tips page. What this is going to do is it's going to display the type of gun it is. So it's a cannon or it's a minigun, in which both these will be miniguns, shotgun, both these are shotguns, both these are snipers, and both these are mortars. This is going to show you a little bit of the math that I found and a little bit of some statistical value that I found. This is all based on my own research that I have currently done myself. So DPP means damage per projectile. PPP means power per projectile. Number P is the primary, number S, the number of secondaries, number E, the number of effects. So all these are going to be different values that I found my own. These values are going to be static. They're going to be static throughout the entire thing. Nothing's going to change. These are all going to be the same values. So to go more in depth on those, I have little things designated here. So we have the nickname of what they're going to be, their class name. So as you saw, the cannon, minigun, shotgun, sniper, and the mortar. Those are all listed here under the class name. And this is going to display what it is. So a C is a primary. A CC, cannon. C for cannon, C for cannon. A CCP1, CCP1. So I displayed it out as the first thing, which is the leftmost thing, is going to be its primary. The middle thing is going to be its secondary. And then the rightmost thing is going to be the effect. So the CCP1, cannon, piercing. Pier 1's piercing, E1 is explosive, E2 is EMP, P2 is punch, M1 through 3 are all movements. So movement 1 is stop, movement 2 is push, movement 3 is pull. The CCI, cannon, ion, CCO, cannon, overdrive. And all these are going to be different for all these. So we have the CC, the CM, cannon missile, cannon, and they'll also show you different types of things that it does. So for the cannon, individually, just by itself, it's a one-shot burst. But if you link it up with the cannon, it's a rapid fire. If you link up with missile instead, it does 10-shot bursts. If you link it up with the beam, the laser beam type weapon thing, it's going to be plus 4,000 range. If you add up with the damage pulse beam, the damage pulse bubble thing, it's going to be adding a bunch more damage to this. And to show you all these stats over here, I added a little key for each of these things right here. So the only thing I didn't just cover right now is RT, reload time. And I tried to get that in seconds instead of like milliseconds or something. So we have the same thing for missiles over here. We have the same thing for beams. Every single type of weapon has its own individual class. And the class of the damage pulse beam thing, the damage pulse bubble things, all displayed here. Now, every now and then you might see a couple of graphical errors. I went ahead and let you know at the top. Sorry for the graphical errors. I don't know how to fix this. And I also let you know that down at the bottom, which is this thing right here, you can flip through all the different pages. Now let's say instead of wanting to see it up in here, you want to see it down on an actual Excel document. Well, I left little links to an Excel document of the original thing, so you can see all the different types of things here. So we'll go ahead and close back out of that. Okay, so next we're going to do turrets. So to explain this the best, what I did was the FAMS, the leftmost part of the dash is going to be for its description. So it's going to be fast, it's going to be for close range, and L is going to be for the last resort. F for fast, L for long, M for missile. D for damage, N for nuke, L for laser, E for energy, M for movement, S for shields, or L for lasting right here. And the rightmost part of the nickname is going to be its class. So the AMS, anti-missile system, ADS, anti-drone system, AFS, anti-fighter system, AAS, anti-attribute system. So these are going to affect the attributes of your target. These are going to affect fighters mostly, so for these are going to go in sizes. For anti-missiles, it's going to be targeting just missiles. Anti-drones, small, tiny little things. Anti-fighters, small ships. You're not really going to be trying to hit much of anything with turrets, but if you have a large amount of an AFS turrets, you're going to be good on ships to take out some pretty nice-sized ships. Now, we do have weight classes to these. So these are the smalls, the mediums. It's going to be quite beneficial if you pair most of these up in barrels. So to explain the gun part, I put it over here, different guns. Each gun is basically a barrel. So for the smalls, you're only really having one barrel. Well, one type of barrel. Gun 2 is the second type of barrel, and gun 3 is the third type of barrel. So in the mediums, the medium set is going to be having two different types of guns, so two different barrels. So the FC, basically the F1 and the C, the F and the C, so it's a fast shooting, close range. Fast shooting, and then it's separated by a dash to be each different part. So fast shooting, and then the other one is close range. Fast shooting, close range. And they're both of the class AMS. So now you have your AMS turret right here. Now to go into a larger area, you just put all three of these all together. So all three of these, this is gun 1, gun 2, and gun 3. Oh look, gun 1, gun 2, and gun 3. All here. And then there's the key that's on every single one of the pages. So we'll go ahead and go over to the space stations. So I didn't see any other classification system that had anything spaceship related. Space station related. I do believe I am the first one to make one with space stations. So I designed some to be salvaging rigs, supply stations, shops, shipyards, a crafting station, warp gates, and your base. So it's going to tell you if you want to set to private or public, being if you want to arm this thing with turrets or no. Its purpose, you're going to be building the space station to fit one of these purposes, and this has covered quite a large area of why you want to build a space station. Space stations, you don't really build a whole lot of different type of them. This covers pretty much all of them. Security is going to be the frequency of how much turrets you're going to want to put on there. A low amount of turrets, medium amount of turrets, low amount of turrets, high amount of turrets, high amount of turrets, low amount of turrets, high amount of turrets. This right here depends on your own personal little thought. If you want, so you set your own range for how low, what low means, your own range for what medium means, your own range for what high means. Same thing with shields. You want to put a low amount of shields, medium amount of shields, high amount of shields. This is all based on how really rare it is. So salvaging rigs, there's a high amount of them, and they're not very special. They're pretty much things that you can mass produce really, really easily, so you can set out in multiple different places, and you can just leave them there doing their own thing. And then the supply stations, they're a little bit more expensive. Shops, it's basically like the bank. You want to put this thing on high amount, but it's public, so you don't really want to arm it very much. And you're going to be having a medium amount of these, and they're all for economic reasons. That way, so other factions or things are able to come over to your place and purchase your things. And then a reasonable amount, this is throughout the entire galaxy. So how things are divided up in the map is the overall Milky Way galaxy, and then inside there's these gigantic squares, which are called systems. And then inside of the systems, there's a whole bunch of smaller squares being sectors. So you'll be having a salvage rig. A reasonable maximum amount is 1 per sector. A reasonable amount of these is 64 per system. And then a decent amount of shops is 6 per system. A decent amount of shipyards would be 8 per system. Crafting stations, 1 per system. Warp gates, 8 per system. And bases, 5 per galaxy. I said this because most likely you're going to want to put one towards the center, and then just like a compass, have one at the north end of the galaxy, east, south, and west end of the galaxy. Now we're going to skip over classes of ships for a second, and we're going to stop by materials. So currently, we don't have very many planets in the game, but this is a list of all the different planets. Why I put building quality in here is, let's say you want to build a base. You're going to want some nice flat ground and a terrain that looks good. So I judge that based on here. The green planet's terrain, it's relatively flat, and it looks great. So I put it at great. The red planet, it's moderately flat, and it's sort of desolate. It doesn't really look all that good, so I put it at okay. The ice planet, it's great. It's almost 100% flat, and it's just the fact that it's that flat is why I put it at great. The desert, it's okay. It's again like how I said with the red planet. It's a bit desolate. The alien planet, it has a whole bunch of vines and stuff coming out, and all these purple vines. It's so hard to build on. It's a mess. I put it bad. Now, you base this on your own personal benefits. On if you want to build a base on your own theme, go ahead and rate these things differently. This is just my own personal opinion on for building purposes. Don't take it any way judgmental or anything. It's just, if you want to build a base, this is most likely the best spots for it. So then we come down and we have asteroids. So we have all the different type of asteroids for the rock that you'll find, the ore, the crystal, and then the location in the solar system belts, and then a generalized description of what it looks like. This information right here came from the Starmade wiki. I do not own this information right on this page, and on the planets page as well, along with this picture. This picture I thought was going great to represent their idea of the belts. The inner belt being around here, the middle belt, and then the outer belts. So when you go to look at the map and you see the sun and it has all those rings around it, in between those rings is what's meaning by inner, middle, and outer. From the sun to the first ring is the inner, from the first ring to the second ring, the middle, the second ring to the third ring, the outer, and really anything besides that, you really only be getting some outer ones, and that's rare. So now to go over to the ship classes. Now I prefer to bring this one up in a Excel document just because of it's big. This is big. I have not seen a ship classification system this humongous. So we have a transport category, a Land Rover, basically to get you from your planet to move you around the planet a lot easier. A planetary transport, or being to get you from your ship in outer space over to the planet without causing a whole lot of lag. And then you have your carrier, which is going to carry these things and a whole bunch of other ships along with you when you're traveling from system to system. A Corvette, if you need to get from point A to point B really, really fast, use this. If you're trying to transfer a lot of cargo, use cargo carriers. And then different little specifications for each of the different ships on things that they might need. The minimum amount of turrets I put here, the minimum amount of guns I put here, and then this stuff right here is a little bit tricky. I'll get into that in just a second. But when you're going to build these ships, base it upon the description, and then go and try and get at the stats to fit. So basically, for like a salvaging drone, it's an AI-operated salvaging vessel used to mine asteroids. Okay, so you want to build a salvaging vessel that can be AI-controlled. That's pretty much it. And then some overall generalized stats. Now keep in mind, 50k, a ship core has a power minimum of 50k. That's just a ship core itself. So for power recharge ratio, I put the power amount over on the left-hand side, and then the recharge on the right-hand side. So you want 1 power to every 1 recharge. 1 power to every 1 recharge. 2 power for every 1 recharge. 1 power for every 2 recharge. 1 power for every 1 recharge. So basically, this one, 1 to 1, 1 to 1, and you're going to be recharging at half the rate of your maximum amount, twice the rate of your maximum amount, and so on. And then for shields, minimum mass shields, I thought right here, like a planetary transport, a good minimum is 2k. Like, go above and beyond the minimums fully. But once you reach like into the other stages, and it fits the next description better, go ahead. But mostly base everything upon the descriptions given. And go and read through the descriptions. There's a bit. And then for minimum thruster ratio, thruster to mass ratio, I put the thrusters over here on the left-hand side and the mass over here on the right-hand side. So 1 thruster to every 1 mass, 1 thruster to every 1 mass, 1 thruster to 4 mass, 4 thrusters to 1 mass, 1 thruster to 1 mass. So this one's going to be going really, really, really fast. And then we have the salvaging fleet category, so we have salvaging drones. And then here's the thing about my classification system that makes it stand out from every other classification system I've seen. I have a weight value to every single class. So the light version of the salvager class, the medium version of the salvager class, heavy version of the salvager class, and the titan version of the salvager class. So I basically incorporated a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then mixed it into my own version. And feel free to use my classification system to however you want. This is almost like a template for you to go and build your own. But if you want, please use this one. I spent a lot of time into it, thinking about every single thing here and there. Use it if you wish, or make your own based upon these little statistics that I've found personally. So we have all these different type of salvaging ships, all the different powers, minimum guns, minimum turrets. Look into these how you wish. And how I see over here, the radar jammer, and then also an overdrive, a Bob AI, as well as a salvaging beam. So if it's all AI controlled, I'll put a Bob AI there. And then I'll put none if it's not requiring anything. So right here, these two are special ones. A auto salvager, I saw a YouTube video of this guy building a logic controlled salvaging platform that eats planets. So I thought I might as well incorporate something like that into this classification system, since I'm seeing it sort of being like a small little trend going on, and where you go and build a platform that goes out and mines planets and in this just like giant long line. So I thought that was a pretty cool idea, so I'll go and add it in. And the salvager carrier will hold all the salvaging vessels in the entire fleet to whatever amount you want. Now for the ridiculous one, being combat. So for the combat classes, we have the name, the description, try and get it to fit the description here, and what category it's a part of. And then a whole new section, so all these right here are the same type of thing as the last one, but the minimum total damage per second, this is the really crucial part right here. This step over here is really, really crucial. So our first category I'll talk about is the fighters. We have a drone section, the light version, the medium version, heavy version, and the Titan version, all with their own individual stats and ratios, different guns amount and turret amounts, different items it needs, and it also has its own minimum damage per second. You could see like it's all rated in thousands. K meaning 1,000 from knowing math, M meaning million, B means billion, and that's as high as I know. Okay, and then, so basically what a fighter is it's a user or AI operated combat vessel used for ship combat or infiltration. So basically, this is for dogfights, or for if you're going to infiltrate a space station or someone's gigantic, huge ship. Now, bombers, it's more of like a landmine. So if you know what I'm talking about, being to where, or like the Navy or something puts these landmines out in the water, or that whenever like a ship or something comes near it, it will explode. That's basically these, but on a different scale. This is a vessel that releases missiles, or it can release damage bubbles around itself to attract nearby moving ships. Well, not attract, it's attack. Sorry, it's like 2 in the morning right now. And so all these things are going to be different type of versions of it, all with their own stats, and are very much heavier. So the thing about the combat vessels is there's like an upgrading system. So instead of trying to go for the description itself, go for the description to build its class category, and then to get its version, you go based off the stats. So if you no longer meet this threshold, and instead you just bumped yourself into this minimum threshold, it's no longer can be considered a light one, it has to go up to medium. Or if you just cross the line, it's now heavy. Or you just cross the line, it's now Titan. Anything above this is still going to be called Titan. Now, let's go into the combat carriers. A carrier that will transport any of the drone ships. So a drone carrier is going to transport all the drones, so being drone fighters, and any like drone ships, basically. So here it is, drone carriers. So any drone ships, put as many as you think you would want on each of these carriers to building your own specific fleet. And then the light carriers are going to be holding the light ones, medium carriers are going to be holding the mediums, heavy carriers are going to be holding the heavies, Titan carriers holding the Titans. And then they have their own stats to help protect and guard the cargo that's inside, being your ships. So they have their own different weapons, thrust, power, shields, you name it, all to just help. And we put a bunch of turrets on there just to help give you some all-around defense. So, aside from carriers, now we have battleships. These things are extremely, extremely destructive. It's a powerful ship with deadly turrets as its main weapon source. So it's not really going to be focusing on shooting itself being the one that shoots. Instead, it's going to be going around trying to destroy everyone else. So with this, we have the light version, the medium version, heavy version, Titan version, with the same system of trying to level up. And then we have its own damage, its own different type of parts, and its own different type of statistics that it needs to fit within. And then we have the destroyers. These destroyers are extremely deadly. It's basically a battleship, but double that. Its damage is literally double. And these things are quite literally just battleships on steroids. See, an extremely powerful ship designed to destroy. These things are just the battleships, but on steroids. Now, probably the non-obtainable area, but the most keyed and sought off, and like people want to get to this level, is the motherships. Now, I put weight classes on these as well. So I didn't just stick with like motherships or like the mothership. It's different variants of it. So the light mothership carries 10 times the amount of the ships that your light aircraft carrier would hold. So as well as that, it's also going to be carrying an overpowering amount of weapons as well as the turrets. So as you can see, the weapons on this thing, 12 weapons just for one light mothership, and it has 100 turrets. Keep in mind, these are the minimum values. And it's also going to have overdrive, piercing, and punch through. And then the minimum total damage per second is 64,000 damage per second. So overall, it needs to do a minimum of 64,000 damage per second. That's just a light version. Then we got the medium version, 128,000. The heavy version, 192,000. Then the Titan, 256,000. If you ever come across any of these versions, the medium, heavy, or Titan, I feel bad upon you. I feel highly, extremely worried and bad for you. But if you come across a Titan mothership, imagine basically Godzilla jumping onto you. That's how dead you are. Unless, of course, you're in a mothership. Or you got like a fleet of motherships hiding behind you or something. So basically, that's my weapons. That's my ship classification system. Feel free to make your own classification system. As you can see now that it's possible to have these types here, and that there is one here already built, and a system that you could just plug your fleets into. A very, very functional plug-in system that you can automatically use. Why not go ahead and use it? So I hope this tutorial has given quite the insight on how all this has been laid out, and hopefully you'll use it yourself. Have a nice day. My name's D4, and I hope you enjoyed.